is Alicia Jrapko. I'm from the International Committee, and I wanted to welcome everybody here today. It's really great to see so many people. I'm very excited. I want to tell you that this is a very historical event, as the visit from our Cuban guest marked the first time since 2000 that a leader of the Union of Cuba, the CTC, has been allowed to do a tour around the United States. Okay? We want to thank the communication workers of America Local 9119 for providing this space for us tonight. I don't know if Tanya Smith is still here, but I don't see her, but she was the one that helped us to set up the meeting in here. And I also wanted to thank Lisa Milos for helping us with the interpretation. So for all of us involved in the solidarity movement with Cuba, there is a lot of uncertainty about what will happen in the Trump era. His rhetoric on June 16 in Miami to an assembly of those with terrorist past and Cuban haters in general could not have been much worse. But what Trump represents is a shrinking group that is still devoted to a Cuban policy that has been a failure for 55 years. Despite the fact that 73% of the people in the United States are for an end to the blockade, there are those who continue to think that Cuba is going to buckle under to this kind of pressure and intimidation. They continue to underestimate the dignified Cuban people and the revolution and ignore the great social gain that it has produced. The example of Cuba as shining a light on the possibility of a better world, one that puts people before profit, is something they cannot stand. Trump's new policy that will hinder business and travel will not go into law for at least 3 months, but already is having a chilling effect, as many who had planned to go to Cuba are canceling them. Those small enterprises that Trump says he is championing are the very ones that are being affected the most. Just like in the struggle to free the Cuban Five, the only thing that will overturn Trump and truly bring about normalization of relations between the United States and Cuba will be a worldwide movement that stands with the Cuban people, calling for an end to the criminal blockade and the return of Guantanamo to his rightful owners. Those of us in the International Committee see this next period as an opportunity. We need to take the sentiments of the majority of people here and help push it into action. For our part, we are organizing our 3rd Days of Actions against the blockade in Washington, D.C., September 11-16, and we urge all of you to get involved and join us in this effort. This year we'll be featuring 2 Cuban doctors and 1 nurse to explain to a variety of audiences the impact of the blockade on the Cuban people, but also about the advantages of the Cuban health model, as well as the medical advances coming out of Cuba to fight various cancers, diabetes, and other diseases. The U.S. has a huge health crisis that a bunch of rich, primarily white men in Washington want to make worse. So this project could not come at a better time. No changes come without struggle. Tonight we will have 2 speakers. We will have Clarence Thomas, who is a retired Secretary-Treasurer of ILWU Local 10, and Manuel Lemagne, Secretary-General of Cuba Hotel and Tourism Union. I would like to see, the order is going to be Clarence first, and then Victor will talk a little bit about the tour, what is going on with the tour, and then he will show a 10 minutes PowerPoint presentation here in the wall, and then after that we're going to open to questions from the audience, okay? So our first speaker is Clarence Thomas. Like I say to him, he's Secretary General of ILWU Local 10, retired. I have to say that, right? Well, I just wanted to mention at a personal level, I met Clarence many years ago when we were struggling for the freedom of the Cuban Five, and I remember I met him not in San Francisco but in Tijuana when we were gathering for an event there in support of the Five. So I asked him if the ILWU Local 10 could pass a resolution supporting the visits of the wife of the Five that at that time were not allowed to come and visit. And Clarence didn't miss any time. When we came back right away, he was able to set up a meeting and the resolution was passed, and it was the first one that passed, and after that we have many others, but that was the first one. So thank you, Clarence.
Brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, can everybody hear me? Good. Before I get started, I'm going to do something that we customarily do when ILWU members are speaking in the public. Could I have all of the ILWU members, retirees, spouses, invitees of this occasion to stand up, please? That includes you, Mrs. Thomas. Sister Thomas. All right, ILW's in the house. The second thing is, I'd like to extend an invitation to those of you that are here today to join us, meaning the ILWU Local 10 at 400 North Point on Wednesday, I believe that's Wednesday, July 5th, yes. It's called our Bloody Thursday. It is the commemoration of the sacrifice of two maritime strikers that were killed in 1934. We refer to that as Bloody Thursday. They were shot in the back by the police. We commemorate that day by shutting down all 29 ports on the West Coast. No cargo will be moved. On that occasion, Brother Victor will be speaking, so it will be a historical moment. We never have had a Cuban visitor on that occasion. He will participate in the laying of the wreath and will also have some words to share with our rank and file. So I hope that you will come. There will be cultural expression, food, and music throughout the course of the day. As much as I don't like to, I'm going to be using notes tonight because I'm on a short leash. Been told I got 10 minutes, and I want to make sure that I get everything out that I'm supposed to say here today. I'm a third-generation longshore worker. My activism started back in the 1960s when I was at San Francisco State. It has propelled me to all of the work that I've done since that time. First time I ever heard Harry Bridges' name and Paul Roberson's name was at my grandfather's kitchen table in 1955 when he was a longshoreman and lived in West Oakland. Let me begin by first saying how honored we all are to have Brother Victor here with us today, especially at this time when Trump is trying to do all that he can to further erode the movement toward ending the criminal more than 60-year-old embargo against Cuba. The bonds of solidarity between workers in the United States and workers in Cuba cannot be broken by any president, including Donald Trump. It is the inalienable right of workers to travel, meet, establish relations with workers around the world. Brothers and sisters and comrades, I strongly encourage you to go to Cuba and not be intimidated by Donald Trump's recent reversal of travel to Cuba. There are ways in which you can visit without any legal repercussions. We can talk about that later. ILWU policies and actions on foreign affairs have always been built upon the belief that international labor solidarity and world peace are the cornerstones of social and economic justice for all workers, including the membership of the ILWU. The union has been guided by these actions by the conviction that solidarity with workers around the world is sound union policy. To help build this understanding, the ILWU has sponsored overseas delegation of rank and file members and has in turn hosted trade union visitors from every continent. James Baldwin, the legendary African-American literary genius, is quoted as saying, "History is not the past, it is the present. We carry our history with us. To think otherwise is criminal." And so it is with the rank and file of the ILWU, which I describe as promoting a living history, not a history that you just read about, but a history of continuity, of trade union activism, radicalism, where workers have exercised extraordinary actions that have impacted the change in U.S. foreign policy. And I'm speaking directly to the issue of the anti-apartheid struggle. The ILWU history of Cuban solidarity work started the years leading up to the 1959 Socialist Revolution. After World War II, ILWU members visited the Philippines, Cuba, Mexico, Puerto Rico, to strategize and share information and knowledge on how to strengthen labor solidarity with sugar workers. In 1947, the ILWU participated in the organizing of the International Sugar Workers Committee. The initial meeting took place in Havana, Cuba. The ILWU's Louis Goldblatt was elected chairman. The vice chairman was Brother Jesus Menendez, head of the Cuban sugar workers, representing 350,000 workers. He was elected as the vice chair. A plan of action was adopted to stop the exploitation of workers by the International Sugar Cartel. The following year, in 1948, Brother Menendez, who was a member of the Cuban Congress and also a member of the Cuban Communist Party, was assassinated while on inspection of a tour of sugar mills of which his union had contracts. In the February 1948 issue of the ILWU Dispatcher, that's our newspaper, Secretary-Treasurer Louis Goldblatt said, "The killing was the logical outcome of the U.S. State Department, which were subservient to the U.S.-based sugar companies." Goldblatt added, quote, "The murder was part and parcel of the colonial Cuban government, U.S. American sugar interests, and the U.S. State Department's plan to destroy the Union and eliminate any vestige of democracy in Cuba." If my memory serves me correctly, right after that killing, the ILWU organized a fundraiser featuring Paul Robeson while Paul was visiting in Hawaii. The proceeds were sent to Brother Menendez's family. Regardless of the U.S. government's historical hostility, travel ban, and blockade, ILWU rank and filers have continued that historical solidarity through visits. In 1960, an ILWU rank and file delegation visited Cuba as the Eisenhower administration began economic warfare against Cuba by cutting the sugar quota. The delegates visited the CTC, the Central Union of Cuban Workers headquarters. They toured the ports and learned of dock wages and conditions for port workers. They toured low-cost housing units and wealthy clubs and motels that had been taken over by the revolutionary government and made accessible to the working class. As part of the coalition of black trade unionists leadership, ILWU member Leo Robinson was part of the first official black trade unionist delegation to go to Cuba. The history came alive for me in 2009 when I had the opportunity, along with other longshoremen, to visit the Jesus Menendez home, which has been converted into a museum. It was exciting to learn when the curator showed documents that were donated by the ILWU library and presented to the museum by local 10-member Jack Heyman during his visit in 2001. In 2009, the ILWU convention delegates passed numerous resolutions calling on the U.S. government to end the blockade and sent a letter urging President Obama to look into the case of the Cuban 5 unjustly imprisoned. On December 17, 2014, President Obama fulfilled the 2009 ILWU resolution by returning the 3 remaining members of the Cuban 5 to their families. As a member of ILWU Local 10, I am very proud of being a part of the international solidarity movement to free the Cuban 5. In 2009, I had the opportunity and the honor of meeting a mother and spouses of 2 of the 5. Historically, Cuba has been the trade hub for the Caribbean and Latin America. So without completely ending the blockade, longshore jobs, of which I made my living for more than 30 years, and other port-related jobs will continue to be adversely impacted. For those of you who may not be aware, there are many, many states in the Gulf Coast who want to do business with Cuba. Some are doing so at this very moment. New Orleans, Tampa, several in Alabama. So when Donald Trump talks about creating jobs, we all in this room know he's a liar. But longshore jobs generate a plethora of other jobs, trucking, logistics, and so forth. So when he gave that BS speech in Miami, where he talked about his executive order regarding Cuba, he's attempting to replay a moment from the past. We in this room, above all others, know we don't go backwards, we go forward. As the majority of the countries of the world have stated in the annual vote taken by the UN since 1992, it's time to end the economic, commercial, and financial blockade of Cuba and travel restrictions and return the occupied territory of Guantanamo to the Cuban people. And in conclusion, lift the embargo now. Join me, let's say it 3 times. Lift the embargo now. Lift the embargo now. Lift the embargo now. An injury to one is an injury to all. Thank you very much.
Don't have the luxury of having Cuban speakers that can speak to us about what really is going on in Cuba. So please help me to welcome Victor.
Bueno, compañeras y compañeros, muchas gracias por esta bienvenida.
Comrades, thank you very much for this welcome.
Realmente me siento muy contento de compartir en este encuentro de solidaridad que se ha preparado para conmigo.
I'm very happy to be able to participate in this gathering of solidarity that has been provided for me.
Como se planteó por Alicia, he tenido 2 días intensos de trabajo.
Just like Alicia has mentioned, we've had 2 very intense days of work.
Por vez primera, como se ha planteado aquí, se ha aprobado una visa
And this is
a un cuadro dirigente sindical político.
And this is the first time that actually we've been able to have a visa for a union and political leader.
Lo que nos va a permitir poder intercambiar y actualizarlo a ustedes de las tareas principales que desarrolla el movimiento sindical y la lucha contra el bloqueo,
which will allow for the first time for us to be able to share with you the struggle that we have to the union struggle and also the struggle against the blockade.
unidos con los dirigentes sindicales de las diferentes estructuras y grupos de solidaridad, hemos tenido intercambios muy importantes en el día de ayer y hoy.
And together, joining together with many different unions and representatives and very important groups, we've been able to have very intense and very good gatherings and meetings.
Y fundamentalmente hoy con la presencia en el Capitolio, donde tuvimos la posibilidad de intercambiar con el presidente del Senado, el Senado y la Cámara de Representantes.
And especially also today, where we had the opportunity in the capital of the state to be able to meet with the president of the Senate, California Senate, as well as the president of the
Es algo
Assembly.
inédito, eso nunca se había dado en estos 55 años,
That is something that's never happened during these past 55 years,
por lo cual la posición ha sido y es muy favorable.
which means that that position is very favorable.
Yo apreciando las palabras del tesorero jubilado,
And we're very appreciative of all your words
De los estibadores.
of the ILWU.
dentro del programa me sentí muy congratulado por estar en ese acto,
And within the program, I felt very congratulated to be part of this,
que va a ser en San Francisco.
which will be held in San Francisco.
Y decía, podremos olvidar la historia.
And he was saying, can we forget the history?
En la visita de Obama nos planteó a los cubanos que debíamos olvidar la historia.
During Obama's visit, he was trying to tell the Cubans to forget history.
Se podrá olvidar la historia de los estibadores,
Can we forget the history of the longshoremen?
lucha importante que las futuras generaciones tienen que conocer de esa historia.
And such important struggles that future generations have to know
De esa
about that struggle,
resistencia.
of that resistance.
Y a la vez estaremos presentes
And we will be present,
apoyando
supporting
a los estibadores
to the longshoremen
y a los trabajadores marineros y de puerto.
and the maritime workers and the port workers.
Antes de presentar una actualización del bloqueo,
And
quería expresar unas palabras
before doing a presentation about the blockade, I
que
wanted to
fue el
also
pronunciamiento de la Central de Trabajadores de Cuba
express some words,
y
which
los
was the
sindicatos
statement,
nacionales a las palabras de Trump.
which was what I wanted to do is I want to present to you a statement by the
Muy cortico.
by the by the trade union workers of Cuba in response to Donald Trump's words. It's a very short one.
La Central de Trabajadores de Cuba y sus sindicatos
The central unions of Cuba and all their unions,
apoyamos resueltamente la declaración de nuestro gobierno revolucionario
we fully support the declarations of our revolutionary government
en respuesta al discurso pronunciado por el señor presidente de los Estados Unidos, Donald Trump,
in response to the statement presented by the U.S. President Donald Trump.
el pasado 16 de junio, el cual se remonta a la época de la Guerra Fría.
That took place on the 16th of June, which brings back which attempts to bring back the Cold War,
Caracterizado por su contenido intervencionista, retórico y manipulador,
which has been characterized as a statement that is interventionist, rhetorical, and
y manipulador.
and manipulative.
Las medidas contempladas en la directiva denominada Memorando Presidencial de Seguridad Nacional
The measures that have been included within the statement that are considered national security measures
sobre el fortalecimiento de la política de Estados Unidos hacia Cuba constituyen un retroceso
with respect to the strengthening of the political relationship between U.S. and Cuba is actually a step backwards.
en los discretos avances alcanzados con la administración de Obama.
In the discrete or small steps forward that we had gained with the during the agreement with Obama,
Que perjudican tanto al pueblo norteamericano como al nuestro.
that harm not only our country but also the people of the United States.
Cada maniobra y agresión del imperio están destinadas al fracaso.
Every maneuver and aggression from the empire is destined to fail.
Nuestra respuesta es aportar más al desarrollo económico del país.
Our response is to continue to contribute towards the economic development of our country.
Seguiremos construyendo con lealtad infinita el éxito de nuestro proceso revolucionario.
We will continue to forge ahead with our infinite loyalty our revolutionary process.
Señor Trump,
Mr. Trump,
en Cuba no habrá retroceso.
in Cuba we will not be taking any step backwards.
Jamás claudicaremos.
We will never give up.
La historia ha demostrado que en las peores situaciones hemos superado todos los obstáculos.
History has shown that even in the worst situations we have been able to win and win over all obstacles.
Y hemos alcanzado la victoria.
And
Muchas gracias.
we have reached victory. Thank you.
Permítanme ahora
Permit me, please,
poder actualizar lo de la situación
to give you an update about the situation
en torno al bloqueo,
with respect to the blockade.
de manera que puedan tener ustedes más claridad
That way you can have more clarity
a partir de la tergiversación que se tiene sobre nuestra patria.
with regard to the lies that are expressed regarding our country.
Aquí les vamos a señalar primero algunos antecedentes del bloqueo.
First, we're going to point out some of the background regarding the blockade.
En 1963, mediante las regulaciones para el control de activos cubanos del Departamento del Tesoro,
In 1963, through the regulations to the control of revenue, of Cuban revenue by the Cuban Treasury Department,
se decretó el congelamiento de todos los activos cubanos en los Estados Unidos.
it was decreed that the freezing of all Cuban funds in the United States,
Prohibiendo las transacciones financieras y comerciales.
prohibiting financial and commercial transactions.
La Ley para la Administración de las Exportaciones 1979,
The law regarding the administration of exportations in 1979,
el presidente de Estados Unidos mantiene una lista de países a los que ejerce un control especial de sus exportaciones.
the President of the United States keeps a list of all of the countries with which he has control over all their exportations.
Dentro de ella, Ley para la Administración de las Exportaciones 1979,
Within that is the law of the administration of exportations in 1979,
que establece la denegación para las exportaciones y reexportaciones a Cuba.
which establishes the negation of the denial of exportations or re-exportations to Cuba.
Ley Torricel de 1992 prohíbe a las compañías estadounidenses en terceros países comerciar bienes con Cuba.
The law of the Torriceli law of 1992 prohibits the United States companies and in third party and third countries to do commerce with Cuba.
Además, prohíbe a barcos de terceros países que toquen el puerto cubano entrar a territorio de Estados Unidos en un plazo de 180 días.
Besides that, it also prohibits ships that from third parties that touch upon Cuban ports to be able to enter the territory of the United States during 180 days.
Ley para la Libertad, la llamada Ley Hart-Burton 1996. Esta es una de las que más recrudeció el bloqueo a Cuba.
The Ley Helms-Burton law, 1996. This is one of the laws that has created most harm of the blockade in Cuba.
renovada año tras año por el presidente de los Estados Unidos y se basa en la codificación de las disposiciones del bloqueo.
This has been renewed year after year by the President of the United States, and it's based on the codification of the rules or regulations of the blockade.
Mediante la imposición de sanciones a directivos de empresas extranjeras que realizan transacciones con propiedades estadounidenses nacionalizadas en Cuba.
Through the imposition of sanctions to the company directives, foreign companies' directives that do transactions with United States properties that had been nationalized in Cuba.
Sección 211 de la Ley de Asignaciones Suplementarias de Emergencia para el año fiscal 1999.
Section 211 of the Law of Supplemental Assignations, Emergency Allocations for the fiscal year 1999.
Aquí es importante que se conozca la prohibición de registro en Estados Unidos de marcas a propiedades nacionalizadas y el reconocimiento por los tribunales estadounidenses.
This here should be, we should point out, it prohibits the registration in the United States of property or brands that have been nationalized, and the recognition by the United States courts of the rights of these of the Cuban companies regarding these brands.
Ahora, la ley de reforma de sanciones comerciales.
Now, the reform law with regard to commercial sanctions,
Oigan bien, autorizó la exportación de productos agrícolas a Cuba,
which authorized, listen well, this authorized the exportation of agricultural products to Cuba,
condicionando el pago en efectivo por adelantado,
which required a prepayment, cash payment in advance,
y prohibió los viajes de estadounidenses con fines turísticos a Cuba.
and prohibited the trips from the United States citizens to with tourists for tourist visits to Cuba.
Los estadounidenses tienen prohibido, el único país que no pueden visitar en el mundo es Cuba.
The United States the United States citizens are prohibited. The only country that they cannot go to is Cuba.
Tiene que ser a través de las 12 licencias, que es la que está aprobada.
And it has to be only through the 12 licenses which have been pre-approved.
Tiene que ser por grupo, no puede ser individual.
It has to be by group, not individual.
Ahora, sobre estas 10 leyes vigentes del bloqueo,
Now, with regard to these 10 laws that are in effect
el
regarding the
presidente
blockade,
de los Estados Unidos tiene en sus manos las prerrogativas
the President of the United States has in his hands the prerogatives
para modificarlas sin necesidad de acudir al Congreso,
to be able to modify these without the need to go to the Congress,
entre las que se destaca
among which is mentioned is
posibilitar que bancos y empresas puedan abrir cuentas en los Estados Unidos,
which mean that they can also make it possible for that, so that banks and companies, these entities can open accounts in banks in the United States.
revertir la política de persecución financiera contra Cuba,
Could revert or change the policies of financial persecution against Cuba.
autorizar exportaciones directas de productos estadounidenses a empresas cubanas,
Authorize direct exportations of United States products to Cuban companies.
autorizar a los ciudadanos de los Estados Unidos a recibir tratamiento médico en Cuba.
Authorize U.S. citizens to be able to receive medical treatment in Cuba.
Una anécdota,
Just an anecdote.
una de las compañeras que viajaban, que me traían para acá para este importante encuentro,
One of the comrades that was traveling with me that brought me here to this
tiene un
important gathering,
padecimiento de cáncer
she has cancer.
y ya automáticamente a partir de los contactos que tenemos
And automatically through the contacts that we have
con el oncológico en el Cuba,
with the oncologists in Cuba,
estamos buscando alternativas para que pueda tener tratamiento en Cuba para aliviar ese padecimiento.
we are looking for alternatives so that she can get treatment in Cuba to be able to relieve her illness.
Ya que los trabajadores del turismo en el cual represento, que son del turismo,
The workers of tourism, which are the workers that I represent,
a pesar de la situación económica y financiera que está atravesando el país,
In spite of the economic and financial situation that the whole country is undergoing,
parte de su propina que reciben a partir del buen servicio que prestan,
part of their tips that they receive as a result of the service, a good service that they give,
lo aportan a la salud y al programa de lucha contra el cáncer.
they support with their tips. They support the health care and the fight against cancer.
Y en estos 22 años en el cual soy fundador del Sindicato de Hotelería y Turismo en Cuba,
And during these past 22 years in which I have been a leader in the unions of hotel and tourism of Cuba,
los trabajadores del turismo han aportado al programa de lucha contra el cáncer más de 23 millones de dólares.
the workers, the tourism workers of the unions have supported and have contributed to the fight against cancer in more than by $23 million.
¿Qué gesto más noble,
What a
Solidario,
noble gesture,
humanista,
solidarity, humanist gesture
que deben participar todos?
that all of us are participating in?
Eliminar la prohibición de entrada a puertos de los Estados Unidos durante 180 días a barcos que hayan transportado mercancía a Cuba. No pueden pisar puertos estadounidenses.
To eliminate the prohibition of coming into the ports of Cuba within the 180 days of those boats that have sent merchandise to Cuba.
Tres ejemplos
3 examples.
de afectaciones de las medidas de bloqueo.
Perdón.
Tres ejemplos de medidas que han afectado por el bloqueo.
3 examples of how these blockade has these measures, principal measures of the blockade.
El 24 de noviembre del 2015, la subsidiaria de la empresa estadounidense FedEx en Namibia
On the 24th of November of 2015, the subsidiary of the United States company FedEx in Namibia
se negó a prestar su servicio de mensajería internacional a la embajada de Cuba en ese país.
refused to give his services, international messaging services to the Cuban embassy in that country.
Se conoce que el 1 de abril del 2016 el banco Citibank rechazó los pagos de clientes a empresas cubanas Avanatur, que es el turoperador que opera el turismo internacional.
And the 1st of April 2016, we found that the United States bank, Citibank, refused to pay the payments of the clients of the Cuban company Avanatur, which is one of the major tourism companies of Cuba.
En mayo del 2016, el Royal Bank de Canadá rechazó transferir en dólares canadienses el pago correspondiente a la cuota de membresía de Cuba a la Asociación de Estados del Caribe.
On May of 2016, the Royal Bank of Canada refused to transfer in Canadian dollars the specific payment of its quota, a membership quota of Cuba to the Association of Caribbean States.
En Cuba, desde el triunfo revolucionario en enero del 59, la salud es gratuita.
In Cuba, since the revolutionary triumph of January 1959, health is free.
El
Healthcare.
desarrollo médico alcanzado es innegable.
The medical developments and medical advances that we have reached are undeniable.
No obstante, no ha estado exento de la aplicación rigurosa del bloqueo.
However, it has not been exempt from the rigorous enforcement of the blockade,
Ascendiendo los daños, oigan bien, a 82.723.000
which has reached the economic harm of $82,723,876.
Imposibilidad de adquirir medicamentos y reactivos y piezas de repuesto.
Which has expressed itself in the impossibility of acquiring medicines or replacement pieces for diagnostic equipment and instruments.
Teniendo que acudir a mercados geográficamente distantes, China,
Having to
Rusia, etc.
being forced to get these from very far away, geographically far away markets like China
Algo importante,
and something really important.
imposibilidad de que jóvenes estadounidenses de bajos ingresos estudien medicina a Cuba.
That's the impossibility of young Americans, low-income Americans, be able to study in Cuba.
A pesar de nuestras limitaciones,
In spite of our limitations,
Cuba presta servicio a la salud en más de 60 países en el mundo.
Cuba lends healthcare services to more than 60 countries of the world.
Cientos de pacientes cubanos con enfermedades de Parkinson y otros trastornos neurológicos
Hundreds of Cuban patients that have Parkinson's and other neurological illnesses,
están privados de mejorar su calidad de vida
they're unable to improve their quality of life
porque hay estimuladores cerebrales producidos por empresas norteamericanas que no están autorizadas a establecer contratos con Cuba.
because there are cerebral stimulating equipment that are produced by a North American company, Medtronic, that is not authorized to establish contract with Cuba.
La empresa Farmacuba solicitó a proveedores norteamericanos medios de protección y productos químicos y se negaron.
The company Pharmacuba has asked for American providers some level of protection measures and products, biotechnological chemical products to be to help elaborate medicines in Cuba, but they were denied this.
Estos son ejemplos fehacientes de afectaciones.
These are very clear examples of how this blockade has affected them.
Aquí les enumero
Here,
otras afectaciones cuantificadas por sectores.
and here are other ways that the blockade has affected, and this has been quantified by sector.
Fíjense, en el sector de la alimentación más de 605 millones.
In the sector of food
De dólares.
nutrition, it's more than $605 million.
Derecho a la educación, 1.245 millones.
The right to education has been affected by $1,245,000.
La cultura, más de 29 millones.
In the cultural area, more than 29 million.
La biotecnología, que es la que tiene que ver con todo el desarrollo y todas las vacunas para productos contra el cáncer y otras enfermedades,
In biotechnology, that has
171 millones.
to do with development and medical development and the development of vaccines and the fight against cancer, is
El grupo,
171 million.
el grupo azucarero Cuba,
And the sugar group,
690.000.
690,000.
La industria del turismo que yo represento,
The industry of tourism, with the one I represent,
2058, más de 2.058 millones.
more than $2 trillion. 2 billion? Sorry. I got the
Turismo.
comma wrong. The comma wrong.
Sector de la construcción, más de 30 millones.
The construction sector, more than 30 million.
El sector de la energía y minas,
The sector of energy and mines,
106, más de 106 millones.
more than 160 million.
Productos cubanos dejados de importar por Estados Unidos.
Lo que se permiten importar.
Lo que no se permite importar.
These are the Cuban products that are not allowed to
Que
be
son
imported
necesarios para el
into the
mercado
United States,
norteamericano.
which are necessary for the U.S. Market.
Este medicamento,
This
el
medicine,
Vitador 30CH,
Vitatox 330CH,
tratamiento probado con efectivos positivos en pacientes con cáncer,
this is a treatment that has been proven to have positive effect for patients
no lo
with
pueden
cancer.
recibir los
The
norteamericanos.
North Americans cannot receive this one.
Madegenina Plus, tratamiento para pacientes con vitiligo en la piel, tampoco.
This is Melagenina Plus, which is a treatment for patients that have
Con un efecto de solución de más del 90%. La pigmentación blanca.
pigmentation,
vitiligo.
vitiligo. I'm a medical interpreter and I forgot that one. Vitiligo, where the pigmentation, yeah.
Tabaco y rones cubanos de alta calidad,
Tobaccos and Cuban rum of very
no
high
lo pueden,
quality. You can't have it.
no pueden.
You can't.
Y el níquel cubano de mucha alta calidad tampoco.
And Cuban nickel, which is also very high quality, cannot be received in the United States.
El 26 de octubre, oigan bien,
Listen well, the 26th of October,
por 25ª ocasión consecutiva,
with the 25th consecutive occasion,
fue aprobada por la ONU la resolución promovida por Cuba
The United Nations approved a resolution that had been promoted by Cuba
contra el bloqueo
against the blockade.
por 191 votos a favor
191 votes in favor
y ningún voto en contra.
and no votes against,
Y solo las abstenciones de Estados Unidos e Israel,
and with only abstentions from the United States and Israel,
lo que constituyó un hito en la historia de esta resolución.
which basically was a major breakthrough in the history of this resolution
Desde su aprobación por primera vez en 1992
since it had been approved for the first time in 1992,
y confirmó el absoluto rechazo internacional a esta política.
and which confirmed the absolute rejection on an international level of this policy.
La información ofrecida a ustedes son el ejemplo fehaciente
This information that we've offered you is very clear examples
de que el bloqueo que se aplica a Cuba
that the blockade that is being applied against Cuba
es el principal motivo que limita sustancialmente el derecho al desarrollo.
is the principal reason that substantially limits the right to development.
Algo importante que dice el gobierno,
One of the things that
no es una cuestión bilateral,
the government mentions, this is not an issue of bilateralism,
sino que su carácter extraterritorial se mantiene
but rather its extraterritorial character continues
y se aplica con todo rigor, total impunidad, violando el derecho internacional.
and is being applied and enforced in full rigor with complete impunity and violating international rights.
Una vez más, el pueblo cubano vencerá.
One more time, the Cuban people will win.
Gracias, Víctor. Okay, just wanted to thank Víctor one more time and Lisa también for your great help.
A union member too, member of this local.
A member of UPTE.
Yeah.
En primer lugar,
First of all,
lo que se está esperando,
what we're expecting,
cómo el gobierno estadounidense va a instrumentar ese memorándum.
we're wondering how the United States government will be utilizing that memorandum.
Al menos nosotros como sindicato no sabemos cómo van a organizar que un norteamericano esté en un listado para decir, me toca ir a este hotel porque dicen que es de la FARC, me toca ir a este restaurante porque no es. Una locura.
So one of the things, and as far as me, I'm a member of the hotel union, we really don't know how the United States is going to actually make it effective, that memorandum, and by being able to say, well, one American is here in this hotel and one other American is in this other restaurant that does not belong to that. We don't know how that's going to work.
El gobierno y el Ministerio del Turismo,
The government and the tourism ministry,
en correspondencia con las medidas que se adopten,
and with
adoptarán las medidas que correspondan
according to
para que ese impacto no afecte a los estadounidenses y otros turistas de otras latitudes que vienen y visitan Cuba.
according to the measures that are taken, we will be then taking certain steps in accordance with those measures to see how we can minimize the effects on the Americans as well as people from other countries who will be coming for tourism in Cuba.
Un ejemplo, nosotros tenemos organizado más de 27,000 casas privadas para hospedaje turistas.
For an example, we have organized more than 27,000 private homes for tourist destinations.
¿Cómo explicarlo a estadounidenses que te toca ir a esta o te toca ir a la otra?
How can you explain to the Americans, that whether you have to go here or whether you have to go there?
Realmente hay que esperar por las medidas.
We're just going to have to wait to see what measures are taken.
One of the many slanders
Una de las
by
muchas mentiras que
administrations,
los
Democrats
administraciones
and
demócratas y
Republicans over the
republicanos a
decades
través de estas
have
últimas
been that the
décadas
trade unions in
que
Cuba
las
are not
uniones
democratic.
en Cuba
as
no son
compared to the
democráticas en
United
comparado
States.
con Estados
I wonder
Unidos.
if you
Quisiera si usted
comment.
pudiera dar un comentario sobre eso.
La pregunta que al menos información nosotros tenemos, que aquí se tiene el 3% de la sindicalización.
As far as our information that we have is that here in the United States, the level of unionism is like at 3%.
Y en Cuba más del 75% de sus trabajadores están sindicalizados.
And in Cuba, more than 75% of the workers are unionized.
En la nueva política, con la actividad no estatal, ya alcanzamos el 76%.
In the new policies with the state, la actividad aquí,
La actividad no estatal, que el país abrió la apertura a la actividad no estatal privada,
la no estatal.
ya tenemos el 76% que son la incorrespondencia con el 500,000 de trabajadores no estatales que tenemos en Cuba.
So now that the Cuba, with the new policies where the activities have been opened up and have the non-state activities, we have now 75%, 76% unionism that corresponds to like half, que corresponde a 500,000,
Que corresponde en cifra total a más de 500,000 en estos momentos.
which with respect to actual numbers corresponds to more than 500,000 at this time.
Pero algo importante que hemos estado expresando,
But one of the important things that we've been expressing,
que la sindicalización es consciente y voluntaria.
that the unionism is consciousness, is voluntary and is conscious.
Para poner el ejemplo de mis trabajadores,
To make an example, basically, within my union, my workers,
el trabajo es persona a persona, casa a casa,
the work that we do is person by person, home by home.
paladar a paladar,
Paladar a paladar.
que es restaurante.
Restaurant is restaurant, excuse me.
Y no es llegar y decirle, ¿usted se quiere sindicalizar? No. Le explicamos qué hace el sindicato,
So it's not just that we go up there, you want to be part of the union, but
a
rather
qué se dedica el
explain,
sindicato,
explain to them what the union does, what we dedicate ourselves
cuál
to,
es la función del sindicato.
what the function of a union is.
Y cuando él aprecia esos elementos
And when the person appreciates those elements or those
que los
parts
representa ante los órganos de relación del Estado,
that can represent them in front of the state or
y en nuestro
state
caso,
entities, and in our case,
al Ministerio de Turismo,
the tourism administration or ministry,
muchos conscientemente dicen, yo quiero estar afiliado.
many of them consciously state that they want to be affiliated with the
Hay
union.
otros que no quieren.
Some of them don't want to.
Están creadas las condiciones, se están creando
The
en los
conditions-
territorios donde no están,
Se están
creando las condiciones en todas las provincias del país.
basically, the conditions are being created in all the different provinces of the country,
Fundamentalmente en los polos turísticos,
and primarily in the tourism hotspots,
clínicas y hospitales para atender al turismo internacional como turismo de salud.
clinics and hospitals to be able to attend to international medical tourism.
Pero como expliqué
But as I explained
en mi
here
exposición,
in my presentation,
las limitaciones del gobierno impiden
the limitations of the government has
que ciudadanos
impedes
norteamericanos puedan realizar diferentes tratamientos
U.S. citizens,
en Cuba.
impedes U.S. citizens from being able to have go through certain treatments in Cuba.
Incluso jóvenes que tienen bajos ingresos
In fact, even young people who are low income
no tienen la posibilidad, no se les permite
are not permitted
que vayan a estudiar a Cuba gratuitamente,
that they can go study in Cuba freely.
como tenemos la Escuela
Like we have
Internacional Latinoamericana de Medicina,
The Latin American International School of Medicine
que forma año tras año miles de médicos.
that develops and graduates year after year thousands of doctors
Y prestan servicio en los lugares más en condiciones difíciles.
and also offer their services in the more difficult situations and places
De menos acceso,
of places where there's least access to care,
con una disposición total.
with complete willingness and
Por lo que conozco,
as far as I know,
el gobierno revolucionario
the revolutionary government
tiene la disposición
has the willingness
de prestar ese servicio,
to offer that service.
de estar de acuerdo
And-
el gobierno norteamericano.
And once the U.S. government is in agreement with that,
A pesar de las limitaciones que en el orden económico y financiero tenemos,
in spite of the limitations that we have on an economic and financial level,
Cuba continuará apoyando
Cuba will continue to support
a otros países
other countries
que necesitan la atención médica
that need medical help.
y ratifica que está su presencia en más de 60 países del mundo.
And our presence is in more than 60 different countries in the
Y
world.
con la disposición, ahora recientemente ustedes habrán conocido
And recently, I believe you
las
probably
lluvias y las
know
afectaciones que hubo en Perú.
the floods and everything that happened in Peru from the rains.
Se trasladó una brigada
A brigade,
médica
medical brigade
en los lugares
was
más de mayor
transferred
afectación.
in areas that were mostly affected.
Y así en otros países
And
que
we've been like that in other countries
han
as well,
solicitado la presencia de los médicos cubanos.
who have asked for the presence of Cuban
Una
doctors.
disposición
We are very willing
a atender y a cumplir con esa
to be able
importante
to
tarea que es humana.
care for and to be able to comply with this
Y como
important
expresaba,
task, a
es
humanitarian
solidaria.
task, and also like we mentioned,
Y
it's
que
a
se
task
trata
in
de la
solidarity.
vida y la salud de las
It has
personas,
to do with life and the health of people,
por lo que tiene un valor extraordinario.
which it has an extraordinary value.
How everybody doing? I'm Brother Beloved with All African People's Revolutionary Party. I recently got back from Cuba. I was part of the Mayday Brigade. One of the things I was talking with ECAP is some of the opportunities with youth. We work with many youth throughout the United States. And is there something we can do to work with you all to get the youth out there in groups so they can learn more about Cuba instead of waiting until they're 20, 30 years old?
Correcto. Creo que es importante
I think it's really
porque
important
la juventud
because the youth,
es la heredera del trabajo
the
nuestro.
ones who are they're the ones that inherit the work that we do.
En Cuba estamos prestando cada vez más con más intencionalidad la atención a la juventud.
We are every day more and more focused on help and working with the youth.
Tomaré nota y después los datos de usted
I'm gonna
para en
take down-
coordinación con la Unión de Jóvenes Comunistas
I'm going to take some information from you so that to be able to communicate with the
pueda establecer los lazos
young Cuban communist organizations to
para
be
el
able to create
intercambio
links,
de la juventud cubana con la juventud estadounidense.
be able to create links and exchange with the youth of the United States and the youth of Cuba.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Por ejemplo,
example,
en Cuba
In Cuba,
los trabajadores tienen
the workers
la posibilidad
have the possibility
de participar en las principales decisiones que se toman en el país.
the main decisions that the country makes.
Un ejemplo fehaciente
One of the very real examples,
fue cuando se discutió la ley del Código del Trabajo.
when the labor code law was being discussed.
Se desarrollaron a lo largo y ancho del país en todos los sectores asambleas
The assemblies were created and organized throughout the entire country in all the different sectors,
donde los trabajadores hicieron sus planteamientos,
where the workers
opiniones y preocupaciones.
presented their positions and their opinions and their concerns.
Y más del 75% de ellas se tuvieron en cuenta
And more than
para la transformación del actual Código del Trabajo.
And more than 75% of those presentations and those opinions and those the worker participation were included in the development and the formation of the present labor code.
En el día de ayer y hoy, con
Yesterday and today,
diferentes organizaciones sindicales,
different union organizations,
incluyendo la de hoteles y restaurantes de California,
including the Hotel and Restaurant Union of California,
en su contrato de trabajo
in their union contract,
tienen que recoger asuntos que nuestra ley ya lo tiene garantizado.
they have to fight for things that under our law it's already been guaranteed.
La garantía a las vacaciones,
The guarantee for vacations,
a la salud,
to healthcare,
a la seguridad social,
and social security,
a otras condiciones laborales.
and other labor conditions.
que no tiene por qué negociarlo
that do
en el
not-
contrato.
that do not need to be negotiated
Ya lo
contract by
establece
contract.
la ley.
The law has already established it, that that's the right.
Está en la negociación otros asuntos que no están recogidos en la ley.
There are, within the negotiations, other issues that are not within the law.
Pero en Cuba nosotros tenemos todos los meses con los afiliados una asamblea
But in Cuba, every month we have meetings with the affiliates, an assembly meeting,
donde los trabajadores le expresan a los empleadores
where the
todas sus
workers,
preocupaciones.
express to their employers all of their worries, all of their concerns.
Y se adoptan acuerdos en el nivel que corresponda y tienen que darle respuesta nuevamente a los trabajadores.
And ¿se adoptan qué? Perdón.
Acuerdos.
And agreements are reached in each of those different levels of assembly levels, and the employers have to respond and actually comply with those agreements.
Un tema complejo que nosotros hemos avanzado es las empresas mixtas.
One of the complex issues that we've actually had a lot of movement towards are the mixed economy companies.
Por solo citar algunos ejemplos del sector que represento, que tiene 26 empresas mixtas hoy en Cuba.
And to just give an example of the sector that I represent that has 26 mixed economy companies,
El director extranjero
the foreign director
rinde cuenta a los trabajadores.
has to respond or be accountable to the workers,
Tiene que explicar cuál es la comercialización,
has to explain what is the commercialization,
cuáles son los aseguramientos,
what is the insurance,
Aseguramientos.
el seguranza, el seguro,
aseguramientos de abastecimiento.
what the supply line is.
Y si hay un conflicto laboral
And if there's a labor conflict
y no llegamos a acuerdos,
and agreements have not been reached,
el trabajador,
The
si
worker-
hay que moverlo por alguna razón,
if we have to move the worker for
va
some
para
reason,
otra instalación, no va para la calle.
if the worker has to be laid off for any particular reason, he doesn't get laid off. He actually gets moved to another work site, doesn't get sent home,
Porque la nueva ley de inversión extranjera lo ampara.
because the new law of foreign investment protects him.
Y lo más importante, cualquier contrato tiene que regirse por la legislación cubana.
And what's really important is any kind of investment has to, all the contracts have to follow the law, the Cuban law.
Durante estos 25 años hemos tenido ejemplos,
During these last 25 years, we've had several examples,
al menos en el turismo.
with respect to, in the tourism area at least.
Hemos tenido algunos directivos extranjeros que han maltratado a trabajadores.
We've had some directors, foreign directors who have treated workers badly.
Y el director y el sindicato le ha dicho a la gerencia,
And the
se tiene
unions,
que ir.
and the unions have told the bosses,
Se
"You have to
tiene
leave.
que ir."
You have to leave.
Y hay que sacarlo.
And we have to take them out.
Victor is referring to, I'm sure most of you know that the mix, cuando hablamos de empresas mixtas, it's like a foreign ownership and Cuba. It's 4951.
Sí,
Joint
la
ventures.
particularidad que tiene que es una pregunta que
The specific issues with regard to that
en estos
particular
2 días ha
question.
sido permanente.
Yeah, it seems that this question has been coming up permanently during these past 2 days.
Primero, la propiedad sigue siendo
First of all,
cubana.
the property continues to be Cuban.
Cuba el 50% y la parte extranjera el 49%.
Cuba has a 51% and the foreign part is 49%.
Y en el contrato es por un ciclo de vida, puede ser 10, 15, 20, hasta 25 años.
And the contract is for a specific time frame. It could be 10, 15, 20, 20, up to 25 years.
Cuando concluya,
Once it finishes,
nuevamente propiedad 100% cubana.
the property goes back to being 100% Cuban.
No negociamos la propiedad.
We don't negotiate the property.
La propiedad es del Estado, el pueblo y de los trabajadores.
The property is from the state, the people, and the workers.
También en el turismo
Also within the tourism sector,
hemos utilizado una nueva modalidad,
we've utilized a new modalidad,
que es los contratos de administración y comercialización.
that has to do with the contracts of the administration and the commercialization. Comercialización.
Comercialización. Contamos con 69 de esos contratos en hoteles.
We have about 69 of those type of contracts in hotels.
¿Qué quiere decir?
What does this mean?
Que el hotel, que es cubano,
That the hotel, that's a Cuban hotel,
pide y contrata una gerencia extranjera para administrar y comercializar.
they hire a foreign company to administer and to commercialize.
Porque el control del movimiento de flujo de turismo en el mundo
Because the control and flow of tourism in the world,
está controlado por las transnacionales y los turoperadores.
it's controlled by the transnationals and the tour operators.
E incluso tienen conexiones aéreas.
In fact, they have also airline connections as well.
Por lo tanto, nuestro país bloqueado,
And so our country, which is blockaded against,
es muy difícil garantizar
it's very difficult to guarantee
ese sistema.
that type of system.
Y mediante ese contrato le permite
And through this contract, it allows for
transmitir know-how, experiencia,
to transmit or show know-how or experience,
garantizar la comercialización
to guarantee the commercialization,
y la administración del hotel.
and to guarantee also the administration of the hotel.
Cadenas importantes como Accor de Francia,
Very important chains like
Memory,
Accor de Francia,
Sol Meliá de
Memory,
España
or the ones from Spain
y otras
and others
que han permitido el desempeño de instalaciones turísticas en Cuba.
which has allowed for tourist installations to be able to be developed in Cuba.
Pero la propiedad sigue siendo 100%
But
cubana.
the property continues to be 100% Cuban.
Y le exigimos a ese director extranjero,
And we
al igual
demand,
que los asesores,
we demand of those foreign directors as well as the advisors
que tienen que garantizar la comercialización,
that they have to guarantee the commercialization
porque se le paga honorarios e incentivos.
because they are paid bonuses, incentive
Y
bonuses.
si no lo cumple,
And if they don't comply,
exigimos que se retire,
we demand that they leave
porque afecta a los trabajadores.
because it affects the workers.
Es menos empleo
It's less
para
work
nuestros
for
trabajadores.
our workers.
En los últimos 15 años del desarrollo del turismo en Cuba,
During the last 15 years, the development of tourism in Cuba,
se han creado más de 20.000 empleos
more than 20,000 jobs have been created.
y se ha permitido como locomotora desarrollar otros sectores de la economía.
And with this, it's been what has happened like a locomotor, or like it has extended to other economic sectors to develop other economic sectors in the country.
Lo cual nos sentimos contentos de ser un baluarte de aporte económico
So
a nuestro país.
we Cubans are very proud of being able to contribute economically towards the development, the economic development of our country.
Los trabajadores del turismo hoy en Cuba están en la primera trinchera de combate
The workers of tourism in Cuba are on the front lines of combat
por su desarrollo.
for Cuban development.
Ajá. Y unas 27.000 habitaciones privadas,
And 27 private rooms.
los cuales están creciendo de manera acelerada también.
27,000 private rooms, which is also accelerating.
Y en los próximos años,
And during these next few years,
el país aspira a tener
the country has
unas 100.000 habitaciones para el turismo.
expects to have about 100,000 rooms for tourism.
El año recién concluido,
This past year that recently
recibimos 4 millones de visitantes.
passed, we had 4 million visitors.
Para este año,
For this year,
4.200.000 visitantes.
4,200,000.
Y para el año 2018
And for the year
se
2018,
pronostica 4,5 millones
we expect 4.5 million
de turistas.
of tourists.
Por lo tanto, ese crecimiento, ese boom,
And this kind of development or growth
tiene que estar en
will-
correspondencia con el proceso
has to be
inversionista.
together with the investment process.
Pero se trabaja no solo por el producto sol y playa,
But we work not only to provide the product of sun and beach.
el turismo en Cuba trata de lograr una diversificación.
The tourism in Cuba attempts to achieve a certain level of
Turismo de
diversification.
salud,
Medical tourism,
de naturaleza,
ecotourism,
de encuentros culturales,
cultural gatherings, cultural
de
tourism.
rescatar el patrimonio de la cultura, porque sin turismo o sin cultura no hay turismo.
And to also to achieve and to promote the cultural patrimony of the country, because without culture there would be no tourism.
Y rescatar las cuestiones autóctonas del país.
And to revive or to promote the indigenous or the actual Cuban authentic culture.
El propio organismo, en el desarrollo propio del turismo, estamos rescatando hoteles patrimoniales del siglo pasado.
Within the development of tourism, we are actually reviving and recreating the housing, the patrimony, Cuban patrimony of buildings.
De manera
negocios, los edificios, patrimonio
sí, patrimonio.
Those old style buildings of the last century.
De manera que los visitantes y las nuevas generaciones
That way, those visitors and the new generation
cubanos
of Cubans,
tengan la posibilidad de conocer de manera autóctona
they will be able to
la
get
historia.
to know firsthand and in a Cuban way their own history.
Ahora, una cuestión importante.
And
Yo represento,
one of the important issues is I represent,
como los diputados al Parlamento,
as a member of the
un municipio
Congress member of the
que tal
Parliament,
vez alguno lo ha visitado, que es Trinidad.
one of the municipalities which maybe some of you
Tiene
have
más de
found, called
500 años.
Trinidad, which actually has existed for more than 500 years.
Sus calles,
The streets of
sus
that
casas.
municipality, the houses,
están intactas a partir de la remodelación de hace 500 años.
after remodeling are intact and are from 500 years ago.
Eso es cuidar nuestra historia,
And that's a way of
nuestro
taking care
patrimonio
of our history,
cultural.
our cultural patrimony.
Y en esa dirección seguimos trabajando.
And that's the direction in which we continue working.
I lost it
Quedó
all.
loco.
Okay.
Solo expresar que
I would
tiene
just like to
el
express
respaldo
that
del
Venezuela
gobierno y
has
el pueblo y
the
los trabajadores
backing
cubanos.
of the government, the people and the workers of Cuba. That Venezuela has the backing.
¿Sabe lo que significa
You
Venezuela?
know what Venezuela means to us.
Venezuela tiene las reservas más importantes de
Venezuela-
petróleo del mundo.
You know what Venezuela means? Venezuela has the most important and largest oil reserves in the world.
Por lo tanto, la están atacando de esa
And
manera.
that's one of the reasons why it's being attacked in this way.
Y hoy continúa siendo un baluarte en el apoyo de Cuba
And continues to be
a su pueblo
a very important strength
y a su gobierno.
for the people of Cuba, to its people, the government, and the workers.
Ya en encuentros anteriores que he tenido los 2 días de trabajo,
In previous gatherings that I've had during these past 2 days of work,
le hemos planteado a los diferentes dirigentes sindicales
we've talked to the different union leaders.
que nosotros hemos practicado una modalidad que se llama turismo sindical,
So we have practiced what's called union tourism.
y a partir de que tenemos nosotros en nuestros afiliados están las órdenes hoteleras y los receptivos que mueven el flujo de turismo,
Perdón, esa parte no entendí nada, disculpen, excuse me.
que como nosotros tenemos las cadenas afiliados a nuestro sindicato, están las cadenas hoteleras en Cuba,
Since we are affiliated with the hotel chains in Cuba that are affiliated with our unions,
y tenemos los receptivos que mueven el flujo de turistas.
and we have the receptivos, no sé.
Los receptivos son las agencias
Oh, we
de
have
viajes
the travel agencies that
y
move and
y el
the flow of
turoperador, en
tourism,
nuestro caso que es Habanatur,
and the tour operators, in which in our case would be
que
considered
son
Havana
afiliados a
Tour,
nuestro sindicato.
that are also affiliated with our union.
Pudiéramos negociar
We
precios
would be able to negotiate prices.
para que esos trabajadoras y trabajadores
So those workers and
de ingreso medio bajo
who are middle or low income
puedan determinados contratos ahí. Eso lo hemos practicado
can have
con
a
el
contract
turismo,
there.
en el cual de turismo, comercio y alimentación de Canadá,
And so that way we could
de Italia
that we've been able to develop
y de
that
otros países.
we've been able to develop that commerce or that kind of relationship with the de alimentación, de hotel y la alimentación,
De Canadá.
or packets of hotel packages with Canada between the hotel and food unions entre la unión de unión a unión, dice usted,
Entre el sindicato con ese receptivo y la cadena hotelera,
between the
buscamos
union
un precio y le
and
damos
that tour operator and that are affiliated with our union. we find the tour package,
una modalidad que explicaba que es de turismo sindical,
a modality which I was explaining, which is union tourism,
lo que permite que trabajadoras y trabajadores con bajo ingreso
which
medio
would permit low-income workers or middle-income
puedan
workers
estar en una estancia con en determinados hoteles en Cuba.
that they would be able to go to different hotels in Cuba.
Porque además hemos estudiado la competencia.
Because we've already studied also the competitors.
Dentro del área, los precios más bajos son los de Cuba.
Within the area, the lowest prices are
Te vas
in
a Cancún,
Cuba.
México,
If you
República
go to
Dominicana,
Cuba,
Puerto Rico,
if you go to Cancún or Mexico,
la
or
diferencia es
Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, the difference is
abismal. Abismal.
abysmal.
Y algo interesante,
And it's also something else is really
a pesar del
interesting.
bloqueo
Despite the blockade,
y que tenemos las 12 licencias nada más que
And
pueden
the-
ir
and
los
the-
norteamericanos a Cuba,
and that we only have the existence of the 12 licenses under which Americans can travel to
ya
Cuba.
el mercado norteamericano pasó a segundo lugar dentro de los principales países emisores de Cuba.
The American market has passed on to the second place among the segundo lugar entre qué?
Entre los 20 principales países emisores que visitan Cuba.
Among the 20 principal countries that go and visit Cuba, the United States is in the second position.
El primero sigue siendo hasta ahora Canadá.
The first one continues to be up until to this day Canada.
Y en cuanto a los productos,
And with regard to the products,
no es correcta, es una desinformación.
that information is not correct. That's a
E
disinformation.
incluso la voluntad política del país
In fact, the political will of the country
y del Ministerio de la Agricultura,
and the Agricultural Ministry,
por solo citar en el municipio donde yo represento como diputado en el Parlamento, que es Trinidad,
just to cite the municipality that I represent in the parliament, which is Trinidad,
se han creado áreas para que el pueblo y trabajadores no estatales
and areas have been created so that the people and workers that work in the non-state enterprises,
puedan comprar frutas y vegetales
they can buy fruit and vegetables
para su servicio y
for
alimentación.
their own use and nutrition.
Y los hoteles tienen más, unos 300, 350 contratos con cooperativas
And hotels have like 300, 350 contracts with cooperatives
o agricultores pequeños.
or small agriculturists.
Esa es una cifra ínfima
That's a very small amount.
a la respuesta y capacidad que se da por la agricultura al pueblo.
In response to, in comparison to the amount of supply that's available to the Cuban people with respect to the
Aunque
agricultural
déficit
sector.
de algunos productos que tenemos,
But there are some deficits in some of the products. Or
el turismo tiene la capacidad de importarlo,
the tourism
si no lo tiene.
allows the ability to import it if we don't
de
have it.
manera que el turista no le falte
So that way the tourist doesn't.
lo que en calidad y precio pagó para
That way the tourist
el
doesn't.
servicio que le deben prestar.
That way the tourist himself
Si no lo tenemos,
doesn't go without for what he paid
Se
for.
importa,
So if we don't have it, we import it.
porque hay que continuar elevando el confort y la calidad
Because
de ese servicio.
we have to continue to elevate the comfort and quality of that service.
Y un pensamiento sindical.
And that's a union mentality.
Nosotros hemos expresado que la calidad en el turismo en Cuba
And we've expressed this, that the quality of tourism in Cuba
tiene que estar a la altura de la hospitalidad del pueblo cubano,
has to be at the same level of hospitality of the Cuban people.
solidario,
Solidarity,
de hermandad,
of brotherhood,
de atención directa a ese visitante
of direct help and service to the visitor,
y que se sienta como en su casa.
and that he should feel at home.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Yes, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the woman behind the, yeah, she's first, yeah. Go ahead, I'm
Ahí
sorry.
cerrando.
Hay una mujer que está hablando.
What is the chance of us
¿Cuáles
being
son las
able to
posibilidades que
buy
nosotros podemos
Cuban medicines
comprar
in
medicina
Canada or
cubana en Canadá o
Mexico
México?
or
La posibilidad de poder
Cancun?
comprar
We would
medicina
love
cubana
to
en
try
México,
your
Cancún.
medicines,
Nosotros nos gustaría
and many
poder
people
probar
have
sus
cancer
medicinas.
want to
Muchas
get
personas que tienen
a hold
cáncer
of that, and
quieren
even if we
poder
can't go to
conseguir. Aunque
Cuba,
no
can we
podamos
get
ir a
some
Cuba,
medicines
¿habría
nearby?
alguna posibilidad de poder comprar la medicina?
Bueno, si se mantienen estas restricciones restricciones
with these kind of restrictions
y el recrudecimiento del
and
bloqueo no se podrá.
Canada, Mexico,
and the
any other
and the
country?
worsening of the blockade is very difficult.
So they can't.
El problema está,
¿Alguna posibilidad de otros países?
el problema está en que
The problem
están
is
con esos terceros países.
that the problem is with these laws that have to do
Cualquier
with the third party
transacción
countries.
financiera que se realice,
It has to do with the third party country stipulations
el
of the law.
Departamento de
It has
Estado
to
y el
do,
Tesoro
the prohibition.
sigue de manera
the
constante
State Department and the Treasury Department
a esos
continues.
terceros países.
It follows and persecutes those third
Y si hace
party
una
countries.
transacción
And so
en México, Canadá,
if there's any transactions done in Mexico or
cualquier
Canada,
entidad
any
que se
kind
le
of
da
entity,
esos productos pueden ser sancionados.
Can you sell medicine to the Canadians?
¿Pueden venderle ustedes medicina a los canadienses?
¿Cómo no?
Of course.
Okay, it's in the store, right?
Entonces está en una tienda allá en Canadá, ¿no?
No. Pudiera estar algún medicamento,
Maybe there might be some medicines there,
pero a la hora de traerlo al país,
but the moment that it's brought,
comprarlo estando en Canadá,
if you buy it in Canada,
posible.
it's possible.
Yeah, take it
el
again.
problema está en la
The
transición
problem would be the transition
para que pueda ser
to be
comprado en Estados
to be
Unidos.
able to be buying it here, to be
We
able
go
to buy
to
it here.
Mexico all the time for
Nosotros
medical
vamos a
care.
México a cada
Maybe
rato
we
para
could get
buscar
some
medicina.
of your
Quizás
medicine
podríamos
and
buscar
take it
esa
in
medicina y
Mexico.
traerlo, conseguirlo desde México.
Pero ¿a qué costo? Más caro, tiene que ir a
But
México.
the cost is really more expensive.
Si
because
se
you have to go
permitiera
all
las
the way to
relaciones,
Mexico. But so if this relationship
más
was
barato.
permitted, then it would be different. It would be
Ahí donde
much cheaper.
está el key
That's the key of
de
the
esa afectación
situation.
y ese impacto
This is the way that this is impacting.
del bloqueo.
The blockade is impacting all of us.